And now we are rolling. Yeah. Why do you know much? Because you do camera work. Why does my Sony camera only shoot for an hour and a half and then it runs out of battery? Should I just have bought something other than a Sony?
I wouldn't blame Sony by itself. They make a lot of great cameras. Cameras that are used for
Sony's fault.
cinema. Yeah, well, we could blame Sony.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of their FX6, FX3 cameras, but those are like, again, cinema level cameras. But when it came to like stills and stuff, I used Canons mostly. But anyway, no, I think what you have here is a camera more designed for photography, and while it very much has like video capabilities,
it's supposed to be like
limit.
Video capable entirely, but it just like it runs out of battery.
Yeah,
Do a lot of cameras do that?
they do.
Okay.
Well, if not battery, like they can have like a limit on how long they can record, and some cameras will like automatically stop a take and like keep going with the next one. But some of them just like say like, hey, we can only record to this amount. Even if your memory card has more space, it'll just be like, that's it.
Do I need to shell out $2,000 to get one that'll record for 2.5 hours?
Is there like an AC? You could probably get like an AC cord that you can plug to the side of it for like $20, and then handle that.
If it's plugged in while it's recording, it'll go longer. That's all I had to do.
I think so.
Okay,
I don't know the camera that well.
You're the expert.
Yeah.
I don't. So yeah, I mean, I guess like a phone, it would work like a phone like that.
Yeah, but I don't think the battery would die faster than it would be charged. So
Democracy dies in darkness.
That's.
Do you know about
that's
that?
the saying.
The Washington Post.
Which is funny because, it's a very like rebellious and liberating thing to say.
Yeah, that's rebellious of them. Yeah.
And then, they got bought out by Amazon, by Jeff Bezos, and so it's kind of a weird.
They're not so independent anymore.
Yeah.
They're whatever.
I thought that line kicked ass actually, but
that's pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
They're like on the side of democracy or whatever.
yeah, which is like kind of whoop-de-doo. It's like, I'm against violence, and it's just like, oh, that's how significant of you. But still, I don't know. It's not always a bad
to be against. Are you against violence?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
I
just wanted to make sure on the record that you were.
Yeah, Alex Harshaw is against violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, just because of you have such a violent personality.
I get that a lot. Easily mistaken. No, I do not hit, and I don't even like watch fights particularly. I watched the UFC fight last weekend. Don't know who was in it. I was mildly entertained. But yeah, fighting's not really my thing.
Yeah, so like what do you like to do in film? Or like what are all the roles that you take on? Or you're just like the person who shoots it? Or do you do some directing?
I'm kind of at a stage that I'm just open to do a lot of different roles. I mean, like professionally, I record audio. I'm a production sound mixer. Most people know you as like the boom guy holding the pole up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're into sound?
Yeah, that's my specialty. But I like writing. I just wrote my own short film recently. Wrote, produced, and recorded sound for my own short film that...
You directed it?
No, I had someone else direct it so I could focus on my audio.
Oh, okay.
But I do intend to direct sometime soon, and...
So you wrote a short film, did you enter it into something?
No. I just did to do it. It was a concept that I had for a joke, actually.
Did you share it somewhere?
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube.
Okay.
The film is called Crowdwork. You can find it on my YouTube page, Alex Harshaw, which is
I
Harshaw
could link it
007.
when I share the episode too, if you want.
Yes, please. Yeah, that'd be cool. It's
Right.
only 3 minutes, but we put a lot of effort into those 3 minutes, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, what is it about?
It's
Crowd work?
Yeah. It's about...
Did you have real scenes of crowd work?
No, it was all staged.
Okay.
It's all staged. But the story was about... I'll go back into like what led me to write it. The film's so short, if I tell much about it, like it pretty much gives the whole thing away. But I was just thinking about how many audience members come out to comedy shows and get sucked into crowd work. Well, and just feel uncomfortable.
The audience members are the crowd work.
Yeah.
It's funny just because, like, from the comics perspective, we think about crowd work and, like, that we're all doing it. But it's like the crowd is also doing crowd work, sort of. That they're getting it done to them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
They're getting worked on.
Yeah. Isn't they're very much a part of it. Like, it's and I think more people should be considerate of that, because I was just talking to Tyson Colson last Monday about this, about just like making sure people have a good time
at work, like
at shows.
Everybody's working.
We're working together.
Yeah.
Trying to build something here, you know?
Yeah.
And the objective is to get laughs. And for me, ideally, the person that's getting worked on, that I'm working with, is also laughing. But there's so many times that I'll see people get, ridiculed while doing crowd work, and it's funny for everyone else. But then, like, the person that's getting roasted is like, it's a nightmare.
They're just getting bullied.
Yeah, and that's the reason you go to these comedy shows, and so many people like fill in the back rows before the front rows, because they want to stay out the splash zone. They don't want to get their feelings hurt because the comedian picked on, have flashbacks to middle school.
Well, it's kind of like the different levels of audience members for levels of shows. I wonder how that plays out. Like, is it a higher quality audience member that's going to a show that they would take more criticism versus like a person who goes to an open mic? Like, maybe someone who goes to an open mic is more fragile, or it's the other way around.
I want to consider it
like there's levels to audience members as well as comedians, sort of.
I see where you're getting at. I'm going to take out the word quality with it, but maybe comfort, different levels of comfort with audience members. And the last show that I produced, I did some crowd work, and the person that was sitting up front, I found out had gone to multiple shows. They like know what to expect. So I like to think that the people that sit up front like it, or like, or at least comfortable with it, much more than the people that sit in the back. And I would, and from my small sample size, it's usually the people that go to comedy shows often that sit up front.
Okay, yeah. So more like the better people will sit up front. I could see.
You keep calling them better.
I could see where that's true. Well, it's just that there's different levels of it, or that's the way that I like to view it.
How would you define the levels? Like what?
Well, like, if it's somebody, as far as an audience member is concerned, there's ones that are better than others. Like if somebody who would dish something back out, but not in a really hateful way, or they could take the criticism and also be fun with it,
Yeah.
I'd say that that's kind of rare. It's like the comedians are almost like high-level audience members a little bit, in some senses. I feel like
that's pretty abstract.
I feel like they're the best at taking the criticism, or at least they should be. But generally, I know.
You would think some comedians have a very thin skin, more than you would imagine.
Yeah. But it is like the audience members are too afraid to even go up on stage.
Yes.
But they're, I mean, it's a whole thing. Like, just the audience members on their own versus, it's kind of hard to distinguish because the performers and the audience really kind of meld together, or a little bit. But it's like, it's interesting that there are people that will never cross that line and do a stand-up. They're like, I'm always an audience member. When it's like, if you're an audience member and like crowd work is happening, and that's happening more and more in stand-up, just like across the world or whatever, like that's the climate.
Yeah.
it's interesting that because the audience members are like part of the show, they're becoming more and more part of the show.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they're like, I'm not going to cross the line and go up on stage. It's like, it's almost like they're already on the stage a little bit, but there's just like a spectrum from performer to audience.
It's a huge jump from performer to audience. I mean, like, you could be in the audience and be a part of the show for like 30 seconds, and you could say something funny, and that's that's so much easier than like writing jokes and practicing at open mics and then like going up on stage, and it's not that big of a surprise to me that.
Yeah, I'm kind of taking like a critical of comedy approach by saying that, just like, oh, we're like the audience, but like I'm being critical of it, but the more that you do it is the more that you become not a critic. Is kind of the thing. The more that you are the performer, that you make it like that's the standard for you in front of people. That people know you'd be the performer. The more that you gain authority as being somebody who's on stage, is the more you separate yourself from the audience and from critics, really, from people that are just in the audience. Because it is like so much easier to be in the audience.
Yeah.
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 The more that you just like do real comedy and do more shows, the more that you do something is the more that you separate yourself from critics, and that's the only way to be able to do that. Because otherwise you will devolve into haterdom.
I don't think that's the natural progression, like devolving into haterdom.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, if you don't separate yourself as like, I'm a real comedian enough, then you just become like a critic or a hater. And that's...
Are we still talking about comedians or audience members?
The audience members are the haters, generally.
You think so?
That's
such a rough point of view about the people that are paying to see you.
Well, that's kind of a question that I have, I guess, is the... like, what's the difference between a fan and a hater? They're almost the same. They're like...
They have similarities, I will give you that. They do. It's the obsession of the person.
Yeah.
To some degree, obsession is kind of extreme, but like, yeah. They follow what you do, and your actions invoke emotions out of them and somewhat make... helps them to decide how they want to live their life. They'll do things based on what you're doing.
Yeah, well, they're like haters and lovers.
Yeah.
Is the thing. But it's, I guess people generally will call them lovers of your work. Mm-hmm. They're fans. But I think that it's equally true that they're haters. And especially nowadays, like, the way that the internet is, that's like comment sections and criticism, it's like the hater side of it is coming out more and more. Or at least you have to speak of it. You have to acknowledge that it's that as much as it is love. It's hate. Like, it's more the case that they're like, people go to your comedy shows or whatever to hate watch you, or they watch your podcast just to hate watch you. You know? Do
you do that?
I hate watch some things, or it's like plane crash, people who died in commercial plane crashes. Like, I watch that and I enjoy it. Where it's like...
Enjoy it.
It's just like, I'm almost like a hater. Yeah, I enjoy it a little, like, that happened.
That the plane crashed?
Yeah, and all the people died.
Okay.
And all of that.
Yeah.
Where it's like... they're a part of something that they didn't want to be a part of. Or I mean, just... or just like anything... anything like that. Or the same with comedians that I don't like. I mean, I'm not maybe as much of a hate watcher as other people, but do you know, like, the YouTube channel Too Lazy to Try?
No.
He just is a guy, he doesn't show himself on camera, but he'll just talk about all the podcasts and all of their shit that they did wrong and, like, make fun of them for it. Or Red Bar is, like, the main guy who's known for that. He hate watches Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe, where it's like everybody else praises them, and he'll pick out like some awkward thing that they did and just like blow it up and talk about it for 50 minutes or whatever.
That just sounds exhausting, man. I'd rather watch things that I like.
It's not, well, it's like, I guess that I'm not so much that way. Like, I enjoy watching somebody pick them apart, even though they're the greatest or whatever. Like,
I mean, I feel like it's more understandable you watching them pick someone apart than it is them taking the time out of their day. Like, you only watch it for, I don't know how long the episodes are, like an hour or something or less. They're YouTube clips. It's a big window. But you watch it for however long that you watched it, and you get up and leave. And this dude is like watching episode after episode, a bunch of different shows that he like
obsessed.
Like.
He's obsessed with them, and like, I'm not at that level.
It's exhausting. And fuck all that. I'm not doing that. That sounds terrible.
Okay,
There's only so many hours in the day.
So you're not on that side of things so much, where you're like, would hate watch something. Like, you want other people to succeed genuinely. What's wrong with you?
Gross. I don't know about that. I don't know. I want people to do well, especially people that I know.
Yeah, well,
I sound like a big hippie about it. I will like watch movies that I don't like.
Succeed.
And just, like, you know.
Yeah, I want the people that I know to succeed, but like sometimes I might get into the territory of like being too nice about it, and then like at the end of the day, it's just hatred, and so I gotta make it known that at some point or whatever, and then like, I mean, the criticism might come out in some other way, as long as that's somebody that I am. But I mean, I do want like the comedians in Columbus to succeed, because that's where I'm at, and I don't have. I can't think of anybody that I'm like, oh, I want them to fail, and where I'm at.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
So we're not so different, you and I.
Yeah, but like secretly, I might want them, but I like.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like publicly, I would have to say that.
Yeah.
But
why? What makes you say have to? Like you're worried you won't get opportunities, or people will treat you differently, or something?
I don't know. Just like the social pressure of like, you have to make sure that you're looking accommodating to people. Otherwise, we're gonna be like, we'll write you off, because people are kind of like worried about criticism a little bit. And I guess that's what I'm saying, is that I'm a little bit of a critic, but I definitely wouldn't want to be a critic. The people who do stand-up comedy are not the critics. That's why you do it. That's why you get up on the stage, is to not be one of them. Is to not be a hater. But it's just like, what's the difference between a hater and a fan? I don't know. It's hard to say.
I feel like a fan likes the person, and the hater doesn't like the person.
Yeah, I guess
or
that's
the person.
That's a conventional way of putting it.
Yeah, that's the definition I'm rolling with.
I guess I just think like the best fans are the haters, and it's like, how like the presence of haters. Do you have any haters?
Probably.
Yeah. Do you think that you should be friends with them, or are you just like, because they're your haters are your fans? Not all fans are haters, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I think all haters are fans.
Not all fans are haters. We're getting loose with the definition of what a fan is, but I see what you're saying. Not all haters are fans, but all. No, not all fans are haters, but all haters are fans.
Yeah.
Okay, now as the
so like somebody who might be a hater of yours, do you think that the right thing to do is like be friendly to them so as to keep them as a fan?
I mean, if they're hating on me, then I'm gonna let them hate, and I'm not gonna really.
Are you gonna talk shit back to them?
No, probably not, unless like it's called for. But like that's not really
like,
in my nature. And
that's the thing, is that it is kind of it's a confusing situation like that, because you would need to talk shit back, but in some senses you do want to be friends with them.
It's not that I want to be friends with the people that dislike me particularly, but like I don't want to exert energy towards these people that have already written me off or have some issue with me for one reason or another. Like, I'd rather put my time and energy towards people that like care and support me. So like I'm not gonna like make extra effort to like,
You're,
hey buddy, how's it going? Like there are comedians in the comedy scene that I've tried to vibe with, and it's just like I don't think they're haters of me, or even fans or whatever definitions we're using right now. But like I just didn't get a vibe from them that they wanted me around, that they wanted me to talk to them. So I just don't bother talking to them that much. I don't have anything wrong to say to them, but like I'm not gonna go out my way and be like, hey dude.
Yeah, you don't want to start the fights.
No, not even fights, but like I'm not even gonna like I'm not gonna make a bunch of effort if you don't accept my friendship, then I'm not gonna keep handing it out to you unless something different happens. You know, it's like going to a store when it's closed. Like if it's closed every time I go back, I'm not gonna keep going to that store. I'm gonna go to stores that are open. Friendships, people that are more open to me coming in and like being friends with them, and focus on that instead of trying to like, yeah.
Yeah, it's better to focus on positive things, and like, I agree with that.
In general, yeah.
Keep the negative people away, or like negativity.
Yeah, know they exist and let them do their thing, and hope and wish for them to not be such haters. Because I feel like being a hater is just such a
you want to keep
thing.
it positive, sort of. It's like, and that's what the smile on your hat also suggests.
Yeah, you know,
you like to keep things positive.
Yeah, I try to. It's not easy. I mean,
are you a good person?
I am. Okay. I almost said I think I am, but I know I am. I am a good person.
Okay. Do you, that's good.
Yeah, thanks.
I guess. I know I'm a good person. I wonder what I would say.
Hey Matt Connor, are you a good person? Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
It's kind of 50-50.
Yeah?
But it's like being a good boy or being a bad boy. Like that conversation.
Oh. There's a Michael Cera movie like that, I think.
What is it?
God, it came out in like 2011. I'd never watched it. But I remember...
I think that the bad boys in a conservative climate are like gay. Like that's gay. The good boys are straight, really. Especially when conservatives run things.
Are you saying?
But when liberals run things, things get perverted, and the bad boys are like the straight ones. It's like the bad boys are the sinners, and so when conservatives run things, good boys are straight.
I was gonna look up that movie, but now I gotta focus on what you're saying. Okay, so in conservative climates, the gay guys are bad boys.
Yeah, those are just the ones that are wayward. They're gay.
Yeah.
The bad boys.
Are we talking about like gay in the way that it was used like in the 80s when people just said everything was gay, or are we talking about homosexuals?
Homosexuals.
Okay.
But really just gay in general.
Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, more gay in general, because I guess I'm not saying like that the bad boys are fucking other men.
Other men,
right?
yeah.
They're just gay.
It's a distinction worth making, because I feel like there was a time that everyone was just like, dude, you're being gay. It has nothing to do with... I mean, there are comedians that have done bits about this, but it's like, it has nothing to do with you and your sexuality. It's just like, dude, that's gay. Why would you bring an umbrella, you know?
Right, umbrellas.
Right? I think that's specifically a Bill Burr example from one of his...
It's funny that, like, that's, like, emasculating to have an umbrella. Yeah. He is, like, making fun of that.
Yeah.
That people would see it as emasculating when really it's just, like, practical.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that use of the word gay, and then there's like literal homosexuality. I wanted to make the distinction. And we're talking about, in conservative spaces, the gay people. So are we talking about, and you said the general use of gay, not the homosexual gay.
Yeah, more the general use of it.
Oh, they're bad boys.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just like when it's Christians are running things, which I'd say is what it is now.
Uh-huh.
They make it that like the people who follow the rules are all straight, and the sinners are like gay. But if liberals are doing it, then it's like the opposite. So that's like,
yeah.
It's like that's the liberal perspective is like the opposite of that, and then, but I'm just saying like that dictates popularity and pop culture. So that's why it is important if conservatives or liberals are running it. It's like conservatives are running pop culture now.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. You see a lot of
Shane Gillis is one of the main culprits, I think.
Even though you know what? He does a very good job treading the line. And I think he has mentors from comedians that have been doing it a lot longer that have taught him how to like dip into conservative, back into liberal, back to conservative, back to, I mean, I'd say he's more conservative leaning. I'm sure his audience is more conservative leaning. But he does like make fun of Trump. He does like make fun of Fox News and stuff like that if you pay attention to his jokes. So he has a little something for everybody. I'm a liberal and I enjoy Shane Gillis. I'm a fan of his. Not a hater.
Yeah, I guess that's probably why he is that popular.
Exactly. It gets at all the demographics, and that's why he gets plugged into all these commercials and stuff. It's kind of like how Nate Bargatze is like.
Do you like him too?
I do. I'm a fan of his.
Yes, I don't like Shane Gillis or Nate Bargatze.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Like Shane Gillis just kind of says general things. I feel like why don't I like him? I don't like that he has a massive audience just by saying by being pro-conservative for mostly by saying and not because he's a conservative. Just because, he's talking about his family, I feel like there's a limit to what he's doing because he's kind of, contained by his parents, for one. Where he's, he answers to his mom and dad. I think that annoys me about him. And then, and so he gets a lot of conservative sort of fans that are we like that you're a guy that listens to your mom and dad. So it's easy to like. It's easy to like. I don't like that he's easy to like.
Okay.
Like that.
You're one of those. Are you? Would you consider yourself a hard laugh? Are you a hard laugh person?
I might be a hard laugh. I have not considered it before.
Some people are easy laugh, and some people are like.
That's a new phrase. I've never heard somebody direct that at me.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's there are some people that are just...
I probably am a hard laugh.
Yeah.
It's probably difficult or something like that.
That's not me. I will laugh unapologetically.
You're an easy laugh?
I try to be.
As suggested by the smile on your hat.
Yes. Suggested by the smile on my hat. I laugh very easily. And I laugh loud. Sometimes too loud, I will admit. But
you laugh too loud?
Sometimes, yeah. I catch myself laughing too loud, and my laugh can be obnoxious sometimes. But there are some people that when they laugh, I enjoy hearing them, and I know that I can identify them. Ian Miller has a great laugh, very loud laugh. I'll be inside Cafe Bourbon, and then I'll hear him outside.
He laughs a lot.
Yeah, which is I think it's cool. Why laughing is so much better than not laughing. So
I definitely laugh at things a lot better, drinking or smoking weed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a lot of things are not funny to me.
Yeah.
I see the funny part of it, I'm willing to laugh if I, drink or something.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think you need to loosen up like that to
I guess just, the world of sobriety is just so horrible that,
Double check that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too sober when I'm a sober person.
Yeah.
I'm more sober than other people when I'm sober.
I can get that.
I'm more influenced by drugs than other people or something. And in the same way, I'm more influenced by sobriety than other people.
Yeah.
Could be it. I'm influenced.
The intensity of your sobriety versus your drunkenness or intoxication.
Yeah. That's right.
I get that. Well, I'm not here to judge. But I encourage anybody and everyone just to be to loosen up, not take things too seriously. And when it comes back to Shane Gillis, it's just there's a bunch of context and stuff behind it, and there, to some degree, the whole like separate artist from the person thing. There's some validity to it. There are some people that just kind of like give me the ick that I don't really follow. Almost like a fear of liking them because like, I just know what they represent.
I like Shingo Bargatze a little bit. I like them the most when they're hosting SNL. Like they're funny on there, and so like I would give them credit for that. But like I wouldn't watch their stand-up. I guess is kind of the thing.
Well, back to the Shane Gillis thing. You said it has something to do with like because his mom.
Think that
he's influenced by his parents.
I feel like he answers to his parents. And so then there's kind of a limit to the stand-up that he does. Like he's not willing to make fun of his parents. He wouldn't get to that point. So like he couldn't have as successful of a podcast as like Joe Rogan, for example. I guess that's kind of how I'm evaluating it. He's kind of more of a sketch comedian, I think. I think that that's probably like the worst thing that happened to him when SNL cut him because he was like, and people say like, no, it was great for you. Like he's great at sketch comedy. I think he's a better actor, but that's just me criticizing his work. But I guess I'm
kind of interesting because when we started the conversation, you were talking about like being a comedian is how you separate yourself from being a critic, like from the audience.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do both of them, or whatever. I mean, but anybody can dip into just offhand criticism, and it doesn't make you a critic.
Okay.
I don't think it makes me a critic completely, but I guess I kind of like to do both. But
I'm gonna drop a hot take. Nothing wrong with critiquing things.
Right.
Yeah, I think it has a very negative connotation, but like I think critiquing things is a good way to realize what you want to be and like what kind of things you want to associate with, things and people that you want to associate with. Kind of shows that you have some values, that you have some principles that you stand behind, and critiquing is like you can critique something and there's positive criticism. Like I love it when comedians will come to me and tell me like, well, particularly comedians I respect and think are funny, critique my jokes and tell me how to make them better. I mean, like criticism's not always a bad thing.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to criticize things or like say comparisons and like say that you're good at this and then somebody else is bad at it is actually an important thing. Like to get confidence from that, to say that you're better than somebody else, like in some specific area or whatever. Yeah. Like you can gain confidence from that, and it's really like that's the only way that you're gonna separate yourself and make yourself like an act that stands out in somebody's mind is if you have values that separate you from other people, and like you get that by criticizing ultimately. Not that you have to do it out in public. It'd be like this. I hate this person for these things. You can just do it to.
Yeah, you have to have your.
Most people just do it to themselves, or say within themselves.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, I'm very hard on myself. Yeah, I can relate to that.
Okay.
And to the point that it's almost counterproductive. And in fact, I would say.
Are you too hard on yourself?
Like it's kept me from like going to open mics as I should, because there will be times when I'll just be at home. I'm like, I don't have anything to say. I know the jokes that I want to tell, but I haven't worked on them since the last time I told them. It's just going to be more of the same. I'd be wasting time. Blah blah blah. Yeah. It's raining outside. The game's on. Blah blah. Like there's. Yeah. Like I could just stay home and write instead, and like I'm robbing myself of stage time. That's when being self-critical, being an overthinker is a bad thing. I say critiquing isn't always a bad thing, but it definitely can be. It can be a bad thing.
I think it's easy to be hard on yourself going to open mics and then like the experience of it. If it works out or like doesn't quite work out the way that you want. Like maybe I'm just like going out all the time might cause you to be hard on yourself. I don't know if that's true necessarily.
I think there's some truth to that. I feel like I've been saying.
There's definitely like you'll want to skip some spots if they're not your spot. You don't want to just go out to everything. If it's not your thing and like you end up with something negative or like something that makes you criticize yourself, I don't think that it's worth just going there. You know, it's not always like, oh, just because I did it, that makes me better.
I mostly disagree with that. Actually, I like pushing myself out of my comfort zone. In fact, tonight I'm booked. I signed up for an open mic at I want to say it's called Oak Tavern, the Old Oak, I think it's called, which is a mixed open mic. So there's going to be music and poetry, and then I'm going to jump up there and try telling some jokes, which is my first time doing that. I want to just
that's something you want to do.
Yeah. But it's still out of my comfort zone. I'd rather go to a mic that's all about comedy, but I'm going to see if my jokes can penetrate this crowd that has no...
A poetry crowd.
Yeah, you know what I mean? See how that goes. I think leaving your comfort zone a lot of the time is...
It's the same, like...
it kind of comes with an intention, but, like, leaving your comfort zone can be a very beneficial thing.
Yes, it is important to leave your comfort zone, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. And you always want to get further and further out of the comfort zone.
Like unless it's like doing heroin, but I mean, I guess that's right. It does become your comfort zone.
That's a good point.
Like, but
that's a good point. It's not just like do everything.
Yeah, just rob banks and see that's so uncomfortable, but it's good for like it's not necessarily, but it depends on the intention.
Yeah, like the poetry crowd. That's another thing that's like an area of criticism. I would say it's like poetry sort of is a critic of comedy, of stand-up, because it's like not so easy to distinguish between the two necessarily. Hopefully it is for you.
Hopefully one makes people laugh. The other one makes them
right. If you're not making people laugh, then it's like your shit is starting to look like poetry.
Oh yeah.
You know,
the worst nightmare.
I mean,
poetry that doesn't rhyme.
That's one way that I would see it anyway, is that like I feel like poetry is not so far from stand-up, if we're being honest, that it's like you would have to worry about the criticism of poetry a little, but like not in reality. I don't worry about it like in any regard, like seriously, but it's just like it's a critic of it, I think.
What you think poetry criticizes comedy?
Yeah. But I feel like comedy's a lot better because it's really just like destroying poetry in reality. Because like poetry is behind us, you know.
It's like so many things you say is like there's like opponents. I feel like they can just like coexist on their own. I'm not even sure if poetry people even think about comedy.
Yeah, well, they're separate, but they also. At some point, they meld a little bit because as long as you can be criticized for that in poetry, I mean, like, if it gets into poetry, then it maybe is like something when it gets to artsy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could share the similarity of, like, audience members. I mean, audience members can go to a poetry show or a comedy show and they can criticize either, or people can be all about poetry.
But just that they have mics that are like comedy and poetry is like dicey.
Dicey how so?
Because you're going up alongside poets like you're the same as them.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, we're all doing art. I belong to we're all performers doing our own thing.
But like not like so like it's not a real dire situation that like you really have to be worried about it. But it's I guess just an observation that I'm making.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So like you do film, and do you think that it's important to have an outlet in addition to stand-up comedy, that it's like something that you could hide away into? Because I sort of do that with this podcast. It's like I have this other thing so that it's not all the pressure is on my stand-up.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I was curious about what led you to start with stand-up. Why are you doing it? And you would say that's the reason why?
Well, I do stand-up on its own, just by itself, just for the fun of it, because I think that I am good at it. As far as I know, I would be funny enough, hopefully. I mean, that I'm funny enough to do it.
Yeah.
That's why I started doing it. And it's fun. Once I started doing it, I realized it's fun to do. So, like, I do that on its own. But I'm saying, like, is it a good thing to is it necessary to have an outlet? I feel like it's a better thing so that the entire burden of your, like, career or whatever it is isn't just on stand-up.
There's
like, is it something that you can hide?
Approach this.
Is it something that you hide away into, or same with me, like directing that on myself? It's like having this podcast. It's almost like something I can hide in instead of just like the nakedness of only doing stand-up.
Hiding is an interesting choice of word here.
Yeah.
Are you hiding from your audience, from your haters and the critics? And all
I'm
that?
hiding. No, I'm not hiding. I do plenty of stand-up.
I know you do, but I'm saying, like, this podcast, do you feel like more safe because there's like candles and wine and we're chilling at your place? And
is it more safe? It's risky to do this the same as it's risky to do stand-up.
Yeah.
I would say, and then like put it out and be like, look, I made this podcast, and
yeah,
I think that I'm contributing something with it.
That's cool that you're doing it.
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not. I just use the word hide because it's like interesting for conversation. That's like
okay.
That's maybe the most drastic place to go. It's not like, but it is like it's like a safety net sort of if you have something. But like, would you say that you do that with film, where it's like you have this thing on the side?
I do film just because I like expressing myself in different ways. I think everyone's an artist, and we have different ways of expressing our art. I mean, some people get real into their plants, or like even like some technical people really find the beauty in like calculating numbers and stuff like that, and like seeing the patterns in between
fractals,
that kind of thing. Yeah, and as much as I love stand up, and I think it's my primary art source, I do improv. I just did my first sketch show recently, and yeah, I do films. I like to act and stuff like that, and I think those are just me trying to like stretch different artistic muscles and like finding new ways to express myself. Every now and then you'll see me at an open mic. An open mic.
Like they say that in Canada.
Yeah, they say open mic, yep. You'll see me at an open mic, and I'll be doodling on the sign-up sheet, which probably annoys some people, but I think they're pretty good doodles. All this to say, I like to draw.
So you're gonna try?
Yeah, I think I am. I like making little cartoons, and
so you have a lot of things that you're able to do.
Yeah, and I just like just expressing myself in different ways, and film's no different, and acting is no different. I just like. Even like within acting, you could do like theater acting, which is once it starts, it's like nonstop until the thing is over. But film is like stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. Just do another take with the camera at this angle and stuff like that. And people have different preferences on that stuff too. I think it's just nice to dive into different arts and find nice ways to express yourself. Because as you said earlier, life can be so. Can't remember what word you chose, but like depressing realities, sober reality could just be so. It could be a drag, man.
Yeah.
But by doing art, it kind of gives you.
Yeah. So you like to do acting?
Yeah, I do.
And are you a good actor?
I think so, but I'm not as well trained as I could be. And that just kind of comes into like how I prioritize my time. I could focus more on that. I can get better at playing guitar, but I'm putting my energy into becoming a better comedian right now. However, I do have an acting coach, and I'll be meeting with him on Thursday this week. So I try to keep, I feel like in more ways than one.
You've gotten a lot better as a comedian. No offense. Like most improved might sound kind of or like improvement sounds a little offensive, but I feel like you got a lot better than when from the very beginning.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a problem with that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I'm trying hard.
Positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saying positive things. Remember that we're enemies.
Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that, and I declared that. And it's just hard. It's hard to be your enemy. You've always been nice around me, but
yeah, it hasn't exactly panned out.
No.
That we've been enemies.
No. But I still hold on to that. I didn't forget that. I was thinking about that when we were driving over. When I was driving over.
It still means something somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still gonna like give you dirty looks at the mic and whatnot. So.
Yeah.
That's not changing.
What mics are you gonna go to this week? Any that you knew that you'd be going to?
Yes. In fact, I was just talking to Kitty. I'm like referring to all these people that the internet doesn't know about probably, but
that's all right.
Kitty, shout out to Kitty. I was talking to her about planning out which mics I go to ahead of time at the beginning of the week because I keep missing all these mics that you have to sign up for ahead of time online.
Yeah.
So I'm trying this new system on Sundays, like mapping out which mics I go to in the week, making sure that I'm signed up for them or I have the right day to do that. And so that includes the mixed mic I just told you about, and I'm going to be at Cafe Bourbon tonight. And I'm also doing that, and I remember my thought. I'm also doing that because it kind of holds me accountable. Like if I decide on Sunday that I'm going to go to all these mics, it kind of anything to take away an excuse not to go to the mic. I was like, I know where it's going to be. I know when to sign up. I need to get there and go.
So you can plan it out beforehand, and then you'll actually do it.
Yeah,
the plan.
That's the hypothesis. That's the hypothesis I'm going with right now.
That's a good ability to have, that you could plan it out and then do it. I guess I kind of do it like day by day, mostly. Just like I hope to like that day I'll be like, okay, I'll go out, and then I either don't or do decide that day. I don't know that I could do like a week in advance, I guess is what I'm saying.
I reckon. Well, I'm not.
Are you gonna go? I'm gonna go to the one on Tuesday at the Funny Bone and try to get a bucket because I missed that sign up.
There you go. Yeah, I feel like if I had the system a week ago, I would have known that Nikki put out the sign up list, and I would have been able to.
Yeah, I sign up for it whenever I see it, like a lot of times.
Yeah,
because it's just kind of like it's like random, that one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm tired I get real upset that I miss these mics that I really want to go to. I don't want to miss the Brat one anymore. I don't want to miss the Funny Bone one anymore.
Oh, I forgot about the Brat one.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, I have to sign up for that.
Sign-ups are over.
They don't have any more?
I'm just kidding. They might not be. I was just trying to like drive home my point, like do it ahead of time. Like, but no, they might
it's
still be
done.
open.
Yeah, I already missed it.
I don't know if there is or not. And they might have bucket spots too. And I think I'm gonna like try shoving them to, even if there are no spots for these things, I'm being more selective about which mics I go to. So I go to ones that I want to be on, even if I'm not on them.
Mm-hmm. What's like your favorite open mic?
In Columbus right now, as of June 2025, I would say, what were we saying, like weekly or just like in general? Like
just in general.
Hashtags late night open mic is probably my favorite. It reminds me of an old open mic that got shut down.
The Shrunken Head.
At the Shrunken Head.
It is a little like the Shrunken Head.
It's getting to that feeling, and it's nice. I like it. There are a lot of people that stick around afterwards.
Especially if there's a bunch of people there. Like the Shrunken Head, there's always like 35 on their Friday nights.
Yeah.
It's a ton of people doing it, and then like you have to wait around forever.
Any mic that has audience members is my favorite open mic. I think that's the fast answer to it. I don't really care what the room.
And the Shrunken Head always had a bunch of audience members.
Exactly.
On Friday, at least.
Which is amazing because there's so many other things you can do on a Friday, but people show up and like.
Yep, the Shrunken Head was lit.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And something I feel like I get into conversations with people about often, like going to an open mic when it's just like comedians and like a couple of extra people, or like people there to watch sports, people that aren't about comedy versus like going to the hashtag open mic and there's like actual audience members that are looking at the stage and like listening to your jokes. It's a totally different sport. You can get a lot of experience going to those open mics that are just comedians. There is value in those, but it's not the same as when you go in front of real non-comedy people and try your material with like civilians.
The thing that makes hashtag like the Shrunken Head is like that when the environment gets more insecure, that's when I feel like it's more like the Shrunken Head, where the audience or whoever might be yelling things at you or whatever. If it's like difficult to go up and do it.
How do you mean?
If it's the hashtag is less like the Shrunken Head when everybody just cheers for every comedian, you know. But there's sometimes I go there where it's like a more raucous environment.
Yep.
And it kind of devolves into something more like the environment is more insecure.
Yep.
Where it's more up for grabs, like there's tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes the hashtag is like that, where there's tension. Or like the Shrunken Head, I feel like that there was tension in the air,
which I think is good.
Yeah,
that's fine. You know, that's fine because that's as comedians we need to control the stage. And if people are going to try testing it's like an Animal Kingdom thing. If someone's going to like try testing our power, even though we're on stage higher than them with a microphone, and they still think that what they have to say is more important to us, or like they just, it's a skill you need to have. You need to be able to control your crowd, because if you don't, then you lose the attention, and no one's going to listen to your jokes anymore. They won't have respect for you.
I think that you're not going to get that at shows most of the time, or like the higher and higher the level of show is, the further it gets away from that. So it's kind of like a uniquely open mic thing, that you have an environment that's raucous like that.
I've been booked on shows that are like that.
Okay, sure.
I think it takes a while before you hit the stratosphere of like being a household name that people would just like laugh at anything you say and like will shut the fuck up and not disrupt what you're doing, partially because they paid like $100 for those tickets. But like anywhere in between, I've watched comedy specials like on Netflix or Hulu and whatever, and there's hecklers in that. So like
there's hecklers. Regardless.
Yeah.
But someplace like the Shrunken Head or the hashtag sometimes, where it's like the decorum kind of goes out the window. It's like we cut through all of the decorum of it. Like I feel like that happens there versus at a show. Like even when there's hecklers at like a show or somebody's special that you see, there's still like a lot of decorum involved.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it's still the show.
Yeah. I completely agree. Because there's like... It's just more... Decorum is a good word for it.
I guess I'm just saying...
You're not totally safe from it by being booked on the show versus an open mic. But I will agree with you that it's more likely to happen at an open mic than...
like there's levels to it, and hashtag is the lowest level.
Yeah. Some rooms are much more...
That's the thing is like, what's the base mic?
Yeah.
The most base of them. It might be hashtag. Like you'd think it'd be Cafe Bourbon, but I guess like people are kind of nice there.
Cafe Bourbon, I feel like it's just like stretching your legs, starting the week out, hanging out with some friends. Like there's never going to be like... Sometimes there's an audience...
That place is a cool hangout, and you can always smoke weed before doing your set there.
Yeah. I mean, for most places you can, but...
You wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to. I don't like to get high before doing stand-up.
I don't either. In fact,
it throws my focus off quite a bit.
I always go on stage sober, which is something I heard from a Ralphie May video from a billion years ago. But I think it's a good... I've also done...
I like to drink. I
don't do either.
Oh, okay.
And when I get off the stage, you'll see me get a beer and a whiskey sometimes.
Okay, so you just go up sober like every time.
Yeah, and then I lose. Like, you don't go to work fucked up. And no shame against you or anyone else that like gets intoxicated before going on stage, but like I go up sober, and then when I clock out, then I'm cool to hang and just whatever.
Yeah. I like
I'll
to
smoke something, drink something, whatever. Yeah. Relax.
I like to smoke beforehand sometimes, and it's like will cause me to have to talk to the crowd because I'll forget everything.
Yeah.
That I had to say, or kind of works like that. So that's a good. I mean, it works out all right if I smoke beforehand. Usually.
Do you think you're funnier after you use?
I think sometimes I'm funnier, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm not.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like just becomes a paranoia storm. So it's like hard to be funny, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe depends on how high that I am.
Yeah.
Have you ever done mushrooms?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that about you. Do you like them?
There you go. Yeah.
You seem like somebody who you have a few tricks up your sleeve. Like, I would have thought, because you contribute a number of things, like the carpool group and all of that.
Yep. Set up a carpool Facebook group for comedians to travel to different places and check out different mics and shows. I have a writing session going on here. Another Facebook group, just like I go to Daily Bar and just sit there and write. We can talk. Yeah, I contribute a lot of different things, but like, I'm still a whole ass person. I do all kinds of stuff when in my own time.
Yeah. Did you like mushrooms?
Yeah, I loved them. Yeah, it was a great time. But I don't do them. It's an occasion for me. Like I like the scenery. The people I'm with is a big deal for me. I know people that'll do them like way more casually and just like.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It was just Wednesday and we had some left over and we were going to go watch a movie and it's just like I like to be like out in the woods and like it's I've.
You like to do it in the woods?
Yeah. Yeah, I like being with nature when I'm on.
Yeah, I like to like set it up.
Yeah.
Like that it's not so like a casual thing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because make it an event.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I must just have not done it enough, but it is. So like I do it less, and it is more of an event when I do it. But like that's what you'd want to do, I think.
I think so. Nothing against people that do it more frequently. But
LSD.
Never done LSD.
Okay.
I had the opportunity. I had some, and someone else took it out of my freezer and did before I had the chance to. So I didn't.
I've done LSD. I think that I like LSD more than mushrooms. Like I trust it a little bit more, but that might just be because of the kind of person I am. I think that it's maybe 50-50 if you're more a mushrooms person or LSD person, because it's like mushrooms come from the earth, and LSD is just something that somebody manufactured in a lab at some point, like 80 years ago or something. And so that's kind of something from outer space, I would say. And like the difference is that LSD, I think that it talks to you. Mushrooms or LSD, I think you can talk to whatever it is, but more with LSD than with mushrooms.
So it's not so much the way that it's made and manufactured; it's more that you can talk to whatever is speaking to you.
If you do enough LSD, the most I ever did was like 2 tabs, and that time I was able to talk to the thing, like as if I was talking to God. But people will call it aliens, or whatever. I mean, or they might say it's God.
Really?
But pretty much. Like, LSD will show you the way that it looks, for like the way that other people look at you. LSD might communicate that to you, but mushrooms will tell you, like, the way that people look at you doesn't matter. So it'll tell you... But, like, I'm very interested in the difference between it, but most people are like, no, not LSD, but mushrooms are good. I think that... I don't necessarily trust mushrooms.
That's.
I trust LSD more because it criticizes me. and it criticizes me because...
That's a recurring theme of this podcast episode.
Yeah.
Criticism.
Criticism is a really interesting topic to me.
Yeah.
Regardless. But, like, LSD will... Because it's, like, more about the way that it looks.
Yeah.
The way that somebody would... What they would see when they look at you. It's kind of more about, like, what somebody could criticize you for on the surface. And that, like, appearances. And appearances are more interesting to me than the other way around. Or something like that.
How you look at someone else?
Like, the other way around is, like, what mushrooms more focuses on, which is more about, like, people's perceptions don't matter, or something like that. And, whatever the other way around is, like, not caring about appearances, not caring about style, maybe just caring about what's within you, like, being real.
Oh, interesting. So in one form, you're talking about, like, I don't care what anyone else says about me, exterior stuff, and then LSD makes you more introvert, like makes you look towards the inside.
I mean, they kind of both
superficial ways, or
they kind of both do both of them. But I don't know exactly to describe what mushrooms does, but LSD is, like, all about the appearances, I would say. So you should try it.
Okay.
You'd have to try it
yeah.
to know. But that's what it communicated to me, was just, like, the importance of the way that things look. And that's more interesting to me because I'm not good at that, maybe.
Yeah. No, I wish
I could get better at that.
Sure.
But it would criticize me in a way that no human would, because, like... And that's probably why people have bad trips with it, is because they can't embrace what they're under the influence of. They couldn't embrace it.
And it can be scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just having those shocking realizations anytime that you're intoxicated can be very anxiety-inducing. Like, it's no wonder people have bad trips when they just realize, like, some character flaw, or, like, how people perceive them, or, like...
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's just, like... make a connection that they never would have sober, and it just, like, blows their mind in a way that's like, oh my gosh, I've been this way for so long, I had no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Has that happened to you, like, doing mushrooms?
Oh, not
any, like, breakthrough thing?
No, not like that. In fact, it happens more when I'm stoned. There will be times that I just realize, like, there will be something on my mind for a long time, and then I'll smoke, and then I'll just be like, oh, why didn't I consider that thing? So she was acting that way because I was doing this. Now that makes so much sense. How didn't I see that earlier? I made a joke about it, actually, which was based on, like, me realizing a girl wanted to sleep with me, but I was missing the signs.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have to check my journal, but I can't remember. That joke was based off of me, like, having a realization about, like, something from a past relationship that I was just like, damn, now I see why she was behaving like that, because I was just like, wow, I was just behaving in a way that now I see was
I like those realizations like that.
I do too. I honestly do too. Yeah.
And it's like new things are happening when you have those realizations.
Yeah.
As long as those realizations happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's like something like just a word association sometimes could be like that. There's like or like an idea that you uncovered more about. It's like that's what that word means, or how it applies to me, or something.
Criticism.
Yeah.
The word criticism. No.
Certainly, I've had a lot of realizations about criticism, because, like, 3 years ago, I was not thinking about criticism.
Yeah.
But now I think about it a lot.
What changed?
I kind of came to the conclusion that, like, Christian people are sort of like critics.
You're a race Christian?
A race Christian?
Were you raised Christian?
Yeah.
Were you raised in the Christian household? Yeah.
Yeah, I was raised Christian. And I came to the conclusion it's like Christians are kind of like critics. And that is a way of me viewing them, or compartmentalizing them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of rude, but
I mean, if...
But just that, like, everything is criticism, I don't know. I just have thought a lot about it, how it's like all conversations are kind of criticism if you're taking all the words very seriously. If you're taking it all very literally. If you have to consider that it doesn't just apply to what they're saying, but it also applies to me. If you have to do that, then, like, there's just a lot in the area of criticism that other people aren't speaking to. Like, if you have to say it applies to me, which you don't, but sometimes you do, you know.
What, the criticism?
Yeah.
Or just, like, in general, when you're, like, in a conversation, like, this applies to me and that yada yada yada.
Yeah, or just, like, talking shit or whatever. Just that talking shit is kind of, like, everywhere all the time.
Yeah, well, that's true. It'd be fun sometimes.
But people don't really speak to that. And people just have, like, a view of talking shit that's, like, all negative. It's like...
I mean, it is negative, but it's fun. I mean, it can be harmless sometimes. Talking shit can be really funny. And humbling and, like, loving in a way. Kind of like...
Yeah, it's
my
loving.
Roommate and I, we're best friends, and we have been for, like, more than half of my lifetime, and we're always talking shit to each other. Straight to each other's face. And, like, it's out of love. It's, I don't know, busting each other's balls. You know, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But I have a question for you. Do you feel that I've been criticizing you during this podcast episode?
No.
No? Good.
No, I mean...
That's what I was trying to give off.
It's just like... Because I don't take it very seriously, even as I say it like a criticism. Like, I am interested in it, but it's just like... I
get the fact.
They're all jokes. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about jokes.
Oh, okay. Well, it's your first time mentioning that. I thought you were just talking about
I should explain.
Criticism as a whole.
Right. Well, it has such a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about, like, jokes, and then when somebody has a joke that's better than somebody else's, then you're above that. Then you're above their joke, and you can criticize them or whatever. And it's all... I'm just talking about, like, dominance, and the way that people don't speak to dominance is the same way they don't speak to criticism. Yeah. Because we don't want to talk about dominance, because then you'd have to admit... Then the people who are dominant have to take that on, like... go forward with that, and then... Or you'd have to admit who's dominant and who isn't, like that's a real thing. Mm-hmm. People don't really talk about that, necessarily.
I think this is why shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm are popular, because like Larry David kind of... Have you ever seen that show?
Yes.
On HBO? Yeah. Because he kind of cuts through all the bullshit and like calls things out as they are, and like kind of gets past the like social pleasantries and being
There's
like,
a lot of social...
you're being a dick! You're being a dick! Like, how am I being a dick? Like, you shouldn't have dipped twice. Like, that. Don't dip twice. No one dips twice. And, like, calls out... I mean, that's not, like, an example of, like, the dominance, not dominance thing, but, like... I mean, there's, like, a lot of social...
I think that it is that.
You think so?
A little. Where it's, like, somebody will put something forward socially and, like, expect or hope that they're not going to get called out for it.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Not that they're thinking, I hope I don't get called out, but it's like, people have gotten accustomed to, like, I'm going to do this and nobody's going to care.
Yeah.
And that's like a joke that they're putting out, that they're like, but if somebody calls it out on them, then they're being funnier. Then they have a joke that's above them, you know?
So, that's a joke that's funny. Then they make a joke above them, or like when you say make a joke above them, are we talking about like the next performer getting on stage, or we're talking about like in general conversation?
In general conversation,
roast battle. Okay.
General conversations, and just like life.
Yeah.
Interpersonal, the way that people are, and then like you're right about it's like Curb Your Enthusiasm, where either not calling it out, but if you call it out, then you call it out accurately, then you've successfully like taken it to a new level, and like that's funnier. If you like call somebody out on their bullshit or whatever.
I don't think it automatically makes it funnier, but it definitely.
You
could seem more smart or more observant or like more what. I mean, some people would see you more as a dick. I mean, like Larry David's usually the dick in those episodes, but even though he's being
not everybody would
on,
think Curb Your Enthusiasm was funny.
No. But you've made me think of something that, like a phenomenon that I do find fascinating, is that when something funny happens or someone says something funny in a large group, how like everyone in the group wants to like, doesn't always happen, but sometimes people will want to like add their own tag to whatever that happened.
Yeah.
Another example of it. And with each tag, like the laugh gets like renewed, and it's like a wave that goes like all around the circle. And some people's tags are not as funny as others, but we still laugh because like the momentum
keeping the joke going.
Yeah, exactly. I notice it. I don't really like. I don't have like a conclusion or like a result or like any statement towards that, but it's fascinating when everyone wants to feel smart and like appreciated and loved and belonging. So like when
it's often like the same person who's always putting forward the bad one.
Well, yeah, I mean some people just aren't as funny as other people. Yeah.
But like they'll whatever.
Yeah.
They will still do well, or then there will come a time where they are now the one who does it the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like keeping the joke going, and like I had a lot of anxiety about that when I was younger, especially. It's just like that kind of thing. But like, well, you gotta say the thing that's gonna keep making people laugh.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable enough, then it's easy for you. But sometimes if you're like forcing it, or you don't feel like you belong, then it'll be difficult.
Absolutely. And you know, just nothing wrong with just like hanging back and enjoying the laughter.
Right.
Like you don't have to add a tag. Like no one's like
looking
at you like it's your turn, say something funny. But you feel
sometimes
inclined. I feel like that's kind of what hecklers sometimes. There are like different breeds of hecklers, and sometimes they just want to be a part of the joke. They want to be.
Yeah.
They want to contribute to it, and that makes me sad sometimes because comedians will just like drop a nuke on them, and they're just like. They don't know no better. Fuck, like,
or just cut them off in an unfunny way.
Yeah,
or they're like just trying to get in on it.
And I have sympathy for the comedian too, because again they have to keep control of the stage.
Yeah.
But like, you know, Marianne didn't mean to, or like, insert name of whatever innocent sounding person. She didn't know she was like being disruptive. She was just like, you said something funny on stage, and she has something to add to it, and it's just like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Audrey Soper. Sorry.
That's a good. I love Audrey.
She's always adding.
That's a good example. She's a sweetheart. But man, she is a.
She's pretty funny, I think, if she was able to make it funny. When she'd
be funny if she was funny.
When she's on, like she's funny off stage, I would say.
Yeah.
She's funny on stage too, but yeah, whatever.
Her her stage presence is so. You just don't know what you're gonna get. It's just like this chaotic ball of energy, and she'll just like flashes. I always watch it. I always watch her when she.
I see myself in that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like. Doing 5 minutes of like stuff you're enthusiastic about but nobody laughs at or whatever.
I prefer that instead of comedians going up and being like, oh, fuck you guys, that was a good joke, whatever, anyway, blah 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 blah, just like recite stuff and like not acknowledge anything, or just be like, oh, I'm too whatever, you guys suck, I'm too stoned for this, or I'm too drunk. I don't know, that's
excuses.
Excuses. I rather like, I mean, there's one thing to be able to address the crowd when the show's not going your way, but I also appreciate when someone's just like gung-ho enthusiastic about what they're talking about, and making themselves laugh. I feel like laughter is contagious, having fun is contagious, so you'd have more chance of like winning the crowd and having a good set if you're just overly enthusiastic about what you're talking about, even if it's not that funny, compared to the person that's just like, you know, turning against the crowd and just like making it sound like it's their fault that they're not laughing. It's just like, that's not.
Yeah.
Do your job. Make them laugh. Be accommodating.
Yeah, that's like one of the worst places to go. Just like turn on the crowd for them not laughing at you.
Yeah, like what? You think they're going to start laughing at you now that you like call them out? Like, no, they're not.
Yeah,
that's not about to happen.
Doesn't become funnier.
Yeah,
there might be one or two that get intimidated by it, but
yeah,
it's not like funnier if you start doing that.
That's the kind of stuff that walks people sometimes. Like those kind of comedians will go up and then like just trash the crowd, and then like as soon as the host gets back on stage, like 5 people head to the door. It's just like that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
That stinks.
For sure. Well, we could talk for a while, I would say.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and
I had a good time. I'm glad I'm here. Thanks.
Yes, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
And so it's time to wrap up, and it's time to end now. And now we have to end, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And you want to give a shout out to the wine?
Yeah, shout out to the wine that Anna brought over for me in the last episode that she gifted to me that we've been drinking. Charles Shaw.
Pretty good, Anna. Thanks.
High quality wine.
Yeah, pretty tasty.
And so this has been the Currency Podcast. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good one.